people another 2 minutes to come in and join us. And I am so excited to share this information with you. It's going to be a great day. Okay, Takia, Atlanta, Family Eye Care of Atlanta. Perfect. Okay, so one other quick housekeeping thing. I chatted to all of you guys this morning. We sent out an email. We have the worksheets, and if you, I'm actually going to grab that link really quick. I realize I don't have that link, and I want to make sure that's accessible. If you were able to access the Google Drive and download those worksheets, just pop me up a thumbs up in the chat as well. Those worksheets are going to be really important, but if you weren't able to get to them, don't worry. We will definitely, you could just take out a piece of paper and a pen, and you can take notes. But I am going to go ahead and pop that into the chat really quick. I just got to find it. So bear with me 1 second while I do that. So hopefully, if you were able to get them, pop us up a little note. Can you hit that little bar right there? And let's make sure of anybody else that we have joining us. Okay. We have Vlada, and we have Allison. If y'all can just pop in the chat and just give us a thumbs up, let us know that the chat is working, please, for you, and where you are, where you live, and the name of your practice. That will be super helpful for us, because we're going to make this, as I was saying, we're going to make it really super interactive, and it's going to be a really great hour. Promise you that this is going to be really worth your time today. So, all right, I've got the link. I'm going to go pop this in the chat for everybody. Oh, thanks guys for all your great interaction. So I just went ahead and I put Malta, New York, Dr. Allison. Okay, is that upstate New York? Is that where Malta is? I've never heard of Malta before. I'm originally from New Jersey and New York City. So I'm just curious. So tell us where you're coming in from. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead. Okay, Saratoga Springs. That is awesome. All right, I'm going to see if I can quote that. There we go. Can I do that? Okay. Lada from Knock Hills. Okay, I see, in Lincolnshire, Illinois. Okay, are you close to Chicago, or are you outside of Chicago? Tell us where you're located. We're curious. This is so much fun. I love this.
We gotta get started, lady.
We are going to do it. Okay, I think we're going to just go ahead and pop in. So, all right, here we go. Elevating your leadership. We are so excited to have you guys. So we've already done a great job of everybody introducing themselves. Thank you so much for participating in that. That's actually a picture of Dr. Christy and I. We've been really good friends for many years. In addition, I have had the pleasure of being both Dr. Christy and Dr. Adam, her husband's business coach, and helping Carolina Vision to reach some pretty incredible, unprecedented levels. I'm going to quickly tell you a little bit about me, but today's not about me or Dr. Christy, it's about you. But we want you to know who we are and why we're here. So I'm going to give you a quick little background, then I'm going to introduce Christy to introduce herself. My background, so I was born in New Jersey, and then I was in Manhattan for 12 years. I went to New York University. My background is in communications, marketing, and business. That's what I got my degrees in. I began my career working for top tier ad agencies in New York City. My clients were Fortune 500 and 100 companies, but I am a serial entrepreneur. I know what that feels like to own a brick and mortar. I built a 8,000 square foot holistic health and fitness center with my former spouse. We had over 1,000 members. We ran 150 classes a week. So I often joke and say that's where I got my MBA. So I know what that's like. I know what it's like in the beginning, trying to keep the lights on, pay your staff, and wearing all the hats. I started my company, Full Pocket Coaching, in 2017. I am a healthcare consulting expert. I work with optometry and dentistry pretty exclusively. I am a change management expert, which means I help people to go through change, which we all know can be pretty challenging. I'm a fractional integrator, which means that I help visionary doctors just like yourself to get traction in your practice on the amazing vision that you have. And I also work in operations and marketing. And finally, I am a mama to my little girl, Sophia, who's 8, and my fur baby, Jade. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you, Dr. Christy, and you can give your information.
Some of you guys may have seen me. I'm not out there a lot, but in the different groups, and I've done a talk with my husband that some of you may know me from, but I am an optometrist here in North Carolina. I went to Duke University, where I actually study biology and psychology. So I think maybe that's why I like this part of running the business so much. But I went to Southern College of Optometry in Memphis, where one of our participants is located. And I've married a classmate, which I'm sure many of you have friends that married classmates. But we moved back to North Carolina after optometry school and opened a practice cold. We were about 3 or 4 years out of school when we decided to do that. And it was, not great timing with the world economy, but we survived. That practice is called Carolina Family Vision. We grew it from a cold start to grossing over $3 million just last year. And then one thing that sets us apart is we were netting over $1 million for a couple of those last few years. And so grew it from 1 employee to 18 or 20. And we sold it actually just the end of last year. And so about me at home, I have 2 teenagers, a 16-year-old Clarkson and 14-year-old Campbell, that keep us very, very busy. And then now that I have obviously not in the clinic as much anymore, I am mentoring small business owners here in our community. And now with stuff like this, hopefully in places across the country. So
Awesome.
that's me.
Perfect. Okay, so I see we have somebody else who just joined us, Brandon. Brandon, if you can just pop in and tell us where you're from, as well as what the name of your practice is. And then I'm going to make a request. There's a couple things. So if you feel comfortable, pop on your camera for us. We'd love to see you. Right now, I'm seeing some lovely headshots and I'm seeing lots of names. So I know it's Sunday. I know it's 12 o'clock. You may still be in your pajamas. If you are, we get it. But if you feel comfortable, turn on your camera and just pop in and say hi to us for a minute. If anybody feels brave, and if you don't, that's okay too. But what I want to really ask of you, even if you don't feel comfortable doing that right now, oh, I got a brave one. Hey, Shaka. Hi, Lana. Look at my brave friends. Thanks for popping in to say hi. We appreciate it. Karina says she's still wearing her PJs. I get it. That's totally cool.
Huh?
Regardless of whether you got your
Okay,
camera.
not now, honey.
Our big request is that you be present, okay? So that means turn off your phone, close down your other windows.
Can you go with them?
Question for us, just put the word question in all caps and put that question in. We will come back at the end and we will loop around and we will definitely answer all of your questions. So please be present, okay? So today's agenda, we're going to talk to you about Dr. Christie's journey. We're going to talk to you about you are the leader taking control of your practice. We're going to go through our operational roadmap. We're going to talk about leading a winning team. We're going to do some wrap-up Q&A, and then we're going to talk about an ongoing support opportunity that we have. Our goal for you is to leave the webinar with one action item from each of the 3 sections. I have never been just a theoretical business coach. We are all about actionable things in your practice that we want you to walk away with this being super valuable. So I'm going to shut up and turn it over to Dr. Christie to tell you her story.
It's the only way to get it done. It's one step at a time.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so I'm going to try to keep this short. Like I said, we started a practice from scratch. So you guys may be close to that. You may be a few years from that or bought a practice, but like Marty said, I've been through the trenches. I like to show this slide because it shows on the first day we saw 6 people. And actually just before we changed ownership, I think we were seeing upwards of 70 people a day in the one location clinic. So came a long way. How we did that at first was we only worked one full-time doctor equivalent. I worked a couple days, he worked a couple days, but then we would work in our old jobs with very long commutes so that we could keep the lights on and pay people, because we obviously were not making a ton of money seeing only 6 patients a day. And actually, I remember that was a good day for those weeks in the beginning. So it was hard. We had a very young family. I had a toddler and a newborn basically. And it's funny how those things happen when life is going on. She was a little surprised. But we were working very hard so that we could reinvest money back into the practice and pay off debt. So we grew pretty quickly over that first few years, to enough that we were like recognized as having a lot of growth in that first few years. We had a good location, and we were able, again, reinvesting into the practice was helpful. So we went from under 800 exams that first year to our third year over 1,800 full exams. And obviously the money followed. But it was hard work. I remember feeling lonely, even though I was working with my husband, like being a boss and being a practice owner can be really lonely. We made lots of mistakes, so learn from those, not your own. And really had no idea what we were doing. We weren't taught how to be business owners in optometry schools. I'm sure most of you can understand. But and as well, wanted to say that I wish I knew back then what I know now, and that's what this is all about. I'm trying to give you guys that that hard knocks education without all the hard knocks. But we were real lucky in that first 5 years. We were able to procure a space we tripled our space there. There's my little kiddos during the construction phase. And there's the finished product. But increasing that space meant we had increased capacity. And so we've actually got to take we had to quit those outside jobs. And these are kind of I put key moments, but like the things I think we did right was hiring an office manager and learning how to delegate. Like I said, we quit our outside job. So now all our eggs were in one basket. And that year we finally grossed $1 million. In year 8, we hired our first associate, which is obviously increased capacity. So next year we grossed $2 million. So that was pretty rapid growth there. We were making decent money, but it was, I remember thinking we were winning, but I felt very stressed and like the business was running me more than the other way around some days. And so, like I said, while we were financially comfortable, I was not enjoying coming to the office, and I just felt like I was putting out fires all day, every day. And I had gone through it all. I had the big name consultants where I paid tens of thousands of dollars in the beginning. I had ongoing consultants I was paying by the month, and I just really wasn't getting answers. And that's where I think I knew to grow to the next level, I really had to do something different. And so one of those things was hiring Marnie. Just looking outside of the industry. That's how it started. She was my business coach, like my personal business coach, but then it evolved to so much more. And we together and her insight got us, we just really changed things around in the practice, but we also developed a lot of systems for the practice. So it went way outside of just personal coaching. But that's one of those. So that sent us to, here we go. And we developed that new plan, and over that next 2 years we worked together. And the year 10, we actually brought home a net of $1 million. A year 11, we added a second, that would be our third associate. And we grossed $3 million that year. And then year 12, we added another part-time associate, and then eventually we were able to sell the practice.
So we're going to jump into now the 3 things that we want to kind of share with you today and everything. So we'll move into leadership. And what an incredible story, Christy. Thank you so much for sharing it with us. We worked together pretty much for 2 straight years, and we really worked really hard
and really invested a lot from my side, like a lot of time and a lot of focused attention into
working on the
these
business.
Things that we're going to present now. And what a difference it makes when you have some devoted, focused attention on the things that you want to make better.
Exactly.
And so leadership, this is about you taking control of your practice. An organization cannot grow above the ability of its leaders. And I got that from John C. Maxwell's law of the lids. We don't have a lot of time, so you should look that up, his video of that. And that really struck me, is that it's on me to grow this practice, and you're not going to come to work one day and everything is amazing beyond your abilities. And so this is about focusing on growing your abilities. And I put this in, it is Sunday. We're trying to get you out of here before kickoff, but Vince Lombardi once said, leaders aren't born, they're made. They're made by hard effort, which is the price we almost pay to achieve any goal, which is worthwhile. And I think that's really good news. It means that you have the ability to become a great leader and to push your practice forward with that. So how can I become a leader?
Well, I don't know about you, but what you've shared with me is that nobody ever gave you leadership classes in
That is true.
optometry school, none at Duke, none when you were running your own practice, nobody gave you an owner's manual. And that I know the amount of personal growth work you had to do in order to step into your role leading that practice was huge. So I give you a lot of credit, a lot of credit. So, okay, guys, if you are ready for me to jump into the leadership stuff, I want to make sure you're still with me. So give me a thumbs up, give me an emoji in the chat so I know you're still with me. So that's going to really help me so that I'm not just talking into this little camera thing. And I know you're out there. So everybody give me a little something in the comments while I'm changing over. There we go. Shaka gave me a smiley face. Come on, Karina, Vlada, somebody give me, okay, thank you, Vlada, I appreciate it. I just need a little interaction here. Get another cup of coffee. No, don't go right now though, because you're present, right? So quickly, just an overview of the steps to elevate your leadership, and then I'm going to go deeper into these, okay? So we're going to talk about what a growth mindset means. We're going to talk about commitment. We're going to talk about self-assessment, scheduling time to improve your skills, and accountability. So again, let me just say, if you have those worksheets available to you, now's a good time to pull them out. We're going to jump into the leadership worksheet. So if you don't have that available right now, that's okay. Make sure you got a pen and paper to take some good notes. And I did go ahead, and if you scroll up in the chat, you can get to the Google Drive. Don't do it right now because that would be you being distracted, but know that it's there, okay? So let's talk first about your mindset, okay? Because as Christy said, the law of the lid, your ability to really rise really is contingent upon whether you're in a growth mindset or a fixed mindset. We are all a mixture of both, but I really need you to be in like an 80-20 or a 90-10 in terms of growth to fixed. So a growth mindset is the belief that an individual's most basic abilities and skills can be developed. So it is what it is, right? That is not what a growth mindset is. A growth mindset is I am going to cultivate and I'm going to work harder, and my brains and my talent are the starting point. So that's where I need you coming from. The fixed mindset is, oh, it is what it is. It's fixed traits. So in order for you to get to the next level in your practice, you need to get into this mindset, okay? So here's a couple of things. This comes from Carol Dweck. You can look up the work, doctor, psychologist. So on the right-hand side, with growth, we're embracing challenges. We're persisting despite obstacles. We see effort as a path to mastery. We are learning from criticism. We are inspired by other people's success. Okay. The people at the top are collaborating. There's really no such thing as competition. There is enough for everybody out there. Okay. Abundance mindset. If we are in the fixed mindset, however, we say that we avoid our challenges. We give up easily. We see our effort as fruitless. We ignore useful feedback. We're threatened by others' success. So what mindset do I want you to be in? I want you to type growth into the chat for me right now. Everybody do it, please. I need you to make sure you're with me. Type type growth for me. Know that you're there. Come on, you guys. A little bit of effort for me. Growth mindset. Yes, growth. Joy says growth. Joy's new. I didn't know Joy was here. Hi, Joy. Keely says growth. Kia says growth. Yes, let's do it, right? Okay, commitment. To be successful in practice, you must practice the ability to stay in growth mindset as close to 100% of the time. I was going to repeat it, but I think I already said it. So you guys know this is the key. This is the golden nugget. If you walk away from this webinar and there's nothing else that you learn, which is highly unlikely, this is a big thing. Okay. So are you really ready to grow? You need to be agile. You need to be innovative. You need to be resilient. And I want to share with you that we all know change can be very hard and uncomfortable. How many times have I given the analogy of the caterpillar to the butterfly? right?
Lots. Yeah.
Lots. Okay. So you all know this. Caterpillar in the cocoon, it's not comfortable to become a butterfly. Okay. And here's the thing. We can like and want something and be uncomfortable at the same time. These are not mutually exclusive things. Okay. The birthplace of all innovation is vulnerability with healthy boundaries. So we're going to ask you to be a little vulnerable here with yourself. And we're going to ask you to really be able to dig in. So we're going to do some self-assessment work because leadership, this is the foundation of all of it. If you want to create a $3 million a year practice like we did, like Dr. Christie did, I promise you, this is the key. Okay, so let's get into it. We're going to do self-assessment. So pull out that leadership packet if you have it. If you don't, that's okay. Get out a notebook. Let's talk. Here are the 5 tenets of leadership. The first thing I'm going to talk to you about is your vision and your purpose. The second thing is going to be your team development. The third will be decision making. The fourth, problem solving and adaptability. And the fifth, continuous improvement. So we're going to talk about vision first, okay? So I want you to write down vision, okay? So the question I have for you is, do you have a clear vision? If I were to say to you right now, Suparna, Keely, Joy, Shaka, Takia, Karina, Allison, and Lada, I hope I didn't miss anybody. Where do you want your business to be in 1 year from now? I want you to write down a number. Is it 1 million? Is it 2 million? Whatever that number is, do you know that number? Okay. How much money do you want to make in the next 5 years? What is important to you in your practice? What is important? Write that down. You cannot create any of this if you do not have an actual written down plan for what you want to do, okay? And if you do have it, how are you communicating this vision in a way that is easily understood by your team? And it's not that you're communicating it one time. We need to have transparent communication done with frequency. So I want you to write that down. Transparent communication, frequency, 1 time a quarter. One of the things that we did with Dr. Christie's practice is we had something called State of the Company, and we did it every quarter. Where we've been, where we are, where we're going. Transparent communication with your team proactively addresses questions that people have so that people stay focused, okay? And can you articulate the purpose and values of your practice? So I want you to write down core values, okay? Everybody got it? Give me a thumbs up if you're with me. You guys are doing so good. I'm really, really proud for all of you right now. Growth and growth and growth. And I don't see any thumbs yet. Are you guys still with me? Or are you sleeping? Yes. Thank you guys. Thank you for your participation. I appreciate it. Okay. Part 2, team development. Okay. Oftentimes, and I want you to be really honest with yourself here. This is important. This is where the vulnerability comes in. How
love it.
proactively
attach
and
it to the poster board.
intentionally are you
You can use
developing
some
your
of these
team?
things to
This
like
is
tape and add
not
color.
me sitting here saying you're doing anything wrong. And this is not you. You should not
I
come
like
away
for
from
the
this and slap yourself on the wrist. This is just an
Ooh, some
opportunity to
color.
say, isn't that interesting? And hold this with neutrality. It's not good. It's not bad. It just is. And if you see there's holes, this is the opportunity. Okay. So we need to proactively and intentionally work to develop the team, develop their skills, take on new challenges. And the way you do that is by having quarterly conversation. I want you to write that down. It is not a review. It's an opportunity to talk about where you've been, where you are, and where you're going. What are they interested in? What is important to them? And then you make a plan so that they feel like they are heard. This is going to help to promote a positive and inclusive team culture. Okay. Number 3, decision making. Okay. So I can't tell you how many practice owners I have worked with where when we talk about things, people will say to me, well, it feels like this, or I think it's this. And we're making decisions based on emotion. And I can tell you back in the day when I first opened my 8,000 square foot holistic health and fitness center, I did this too, until I learned that I had to make decisions on data, versus emotion. So I want you to write this down next. I want you to write down the number 5. That's going to be a goal for the 5 key metrics that I want you to be tracking in your practice every single week. And Dr. Christie's going to talk a little bit more about that operationally in just a few minutes, because I need you making decisions based on data, not emotion. And that's going to instill confidence in you and in your team. Okay. Number 4, problem solving and adaptability. Let's be very honest here. It can be very, very hard to handle challenges and obstacles and keep that positive attitude. As goes you and your leadership team, goes the rest of your practice. I'm going to say that again, and I want you to write this down. As goes you and your leadership team, goes the rest of your practice. If you are not regulating yourself emotionally, if you are showing people when you're frustrated, if you're not in a positive place, then you need to do some work on yourself, because we need to make sure that we are in that very neutral mindset when we're looking to problem solve, okay? And then additionally, I want you to think about how you're encouraging innovative thinking, new methodology and technologies. Does your team have a lane? Do they have a specific time, a specific place when they can bring new challenges or opportunities to you? Because otherwise it becomes one of those things where, remember you used to say, you know, you're sitting at your desk and people just keep pinging you constantly. There was never a lane to do it. So we want you to think about creating a time and a place in that practice, in your practice, where people can come to you, and then they've got that policy in place to encourage that. Okay. So
It helps with their how they feel about the practice too.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
they know they are contributing.
Yes, that's that connectivity piece. Okay. And then creating a culture of continuous improvement. And this may be a core value for you in your practice. It's a really good one to have. It would be that you are open to seeking feedback on your leadership style. You're open to making adjustments. You're open to making adjustments, you know, at your front desk. You're open in pre-test, you know, in dispense, all these different areas that you are open to looking and making changes where you need to, and that you are committed to your own personal growth and development as a leader, and that you're staying updated on the industry trends. So, okay, let me do a little wrap up on here, and we are right on time. We are.
Yeah, I was surprised.
Yeah, I know you were feeling nervous.
She was feeling my energy.
I get so excited, you guys. Anyway,
we're a nice balance. I rein her in, and then we get it.
And then we get it done, right? So working on your leadership. So there's a difference between working in your business and working on your business. Dr. Christie, Dr. Adam, Denise, myself, we met every single Wednesday for 90 minutes at Acme Pizza. Adam loved the pepperoni pizza. I loved the chicken wings, buffalo chicken wings. Usually get a salad, right? Yeah, a salad. Yeah. So anyway, that's the time to work on the business. And
outside of the office. That's why she brought that up.
Yeah,
it's very important, because like I said, any free time I used to have when we didn't have all these systems in place was, Dr. Trott, this Mrs. Jones is mad about this, or this rep didn't show up on time. And it was just constantly putting out fires. And if you get out of the office, they can't bother you. Turn your phone off and just set it aside weekly. And that was critical for starting to get changes happen in our business.
Yes. And then the other thing is that we had a very specific agenda that I made everybody stick to. Sometimes, well, in the beginning, Denise wanted to throw darts at my picture, you remember? And then she became my best friend. The office manager.
Change is hard.
Because change is hard. That's just it, you know? So I'm not saying this is going to be a cakewalk, y'all. Like this is going to be really hard. You're moving a big ship, right? But this is really important. Making it a priority, and let others know and hold yourself accountable. And the ROI on this is going to be so worth it. So let's jump into the operational roadmap. Yes. Okay. Yeah. You guys still doing good? Thumbs up, thumbs up. Good, good.
And so I'm trying on this section to give you a whole lot. We're going to just have a little bit of a whole lot. You do have more in the map, the patient journey analyzer that I sent you. So you may have some questions about this then, because I'm going to go through it real quickly. But
I just put the link in the drive again for you guys, so I'll put it in. So just copy that just so you have it. There's 3 documents in there for your reference.
So it's kind of like this section for me was like, where do we even start? There's so much when you look at your practice. It can be so much. I tried to share with you how I mentally broke it down, so that we start making improvements. You got to know where you're at to know where you want to go. And so I broke it down into 2 pieces. So everything patient facing, and then everything they don't see, or the behind the scenes, so that we can get a good picture of how everything is currently running. And then part 3 of my talk here is going to be then documenting those processes that you want to be happening in the practice. So for the patient journey, you do have this, or you can get this broken down, but I'll go through it a little bit here. But we're going to mentally go through your process like a brand new patient. I want you to see everything through your patient's eyes on this part. So from the first time they hear about your practice until they pick up their glasses, and then again until you see them the next year, take note of every single encounter that a patient might have with your practice. And then from there, we're going to think about all of the touch points and how we can help them on the way. Like I said, this, you got this with you. This talk is typically an hour, so I'm going to do it in about 5 minutes. So I broke it down into 11 pieces. And it's just a nice visual for me when I go through, and it lets me put things that I think about. I want to fix this, I want to fix that, put it visually in nice organization. So discovery, how easy is it for your patients to find out about your practice? So things like that. How's your website? How is their word of mouth, their referrals? How is your reputation in your community? Pre-appointment. So how easy is it for people to schedule their appointment? How friendly are the people that are on the phone? I made a dermatology appointment last week, and I was like, I don't want to set foot in that place because their outside presence was so right? Which we do not want for any of your practices.
No.
But how do you remind them, the forms they fill out? We want to make all of that as easy and positive for the patients as we can. Arrival. So I always recommend drive up to the office and park in the front like you're a patient and walk through. See how clean it is. Look at the curb appeal. How are you greeted when you walk in? Do you have your we call him the director of smiles at the front desk? How does that feel when you walk into the practice?
I'm going to pause you really quick because when we were running through this yesterday, you said to me how often you never walked through your front door. So think about it for yourself. When's the last time you walked through the front door of your practice? Go walk through the front door tomorrow and have that experience, right?
One thing that might be cool to like bring a family member or a friend for an appointment.
There
that you're sitting in your waiting room. You hear how they call their name, like things like that. And then they'll give you feedback too of the exam. But I've done that with close friends and like come out like I was, their buddy, and sat up there with them to chat for a minute and saw things completely differently than when you're running around in the back of the clinic.
Yep.
So pre-test, how's your technology? How are your techs performing? Are you using that all to the most efficient, to your best ability? Same thing with the exam. Are your rooms comfortable, uncluttered, up to date? And is the doctor's time used most efficient way as possible? This is a big one for me, is efficiency, which we don't really have a ton of time to dig into today, but making everything that the doctor does the most efficient so that you're getting the most face time with the patient, and letting other people do things that can free your time up to really care for your patients. Your handoff, I think that's super important for sales. How are you getting your recommended vision solutions communicated to the next step, like to the optician or to the technician that needs to do a referral for cataract surgery? How does that go from you saying goodbye, Mrs. Jones, to them getting what you need them to, or want them to, from the rest of your practice? So, and then how's your optical shop? How is that experience for the patient? Do they have to wait too long? Is everyone nice in the optical? Does it look clean and bright and new? Checkout, is it convenient? Is it easy? Is it fast? And dispense, how exciting is it to pick up glasses or contacts from your office? Then follow up. how a return, like when you want them to come back to the office, how is that communicated and handled? Anything that they need from you, prescriptions, other than eyewear, like how is that stuff taken care of? Are you checking on them? And then staying connected. That's more marketing, staying front of mind for that whole 11 and a half months before they start thinking about their eye exam next year. They get a lot of opportunities to go somewhere else. So we want to keep communication and marketing to them for that time. So that's everything the patient sees. And then for everything that they don't see, I kind of broke it down into these. You may have more, but for me, it was optical operations, clinic / medical operations, everything staff, hiring, firing, training, everything to deal with your staff dynamics. We'll talk about that next, but that can take up that's a full-time job right there. And then your financials, cash flow, P&L, billing, accounts receivable, accounts payable, who's paying your bills, all of that. And so, again, just thinking about putting everything in instead of just like, okay, I have 18 fires to put out today, keeping them all in their own little boxes can help you see where you want to, I wrote my notes, illuminate and then delegate. So where you can get some help on these things. And then lastly in the section is documenting the procedures and policies. For us, we had, these are the things I think you have to have your employee manual, which if you have employees, I'm sure you already have that, but that's very important to not only have, but to update probably annually at least. Office policies, these kind of are patient facing, but like different policies that you have within the office, and then your procedures. I broke our procedures down into 4 manuals. We actually have 4 separate binders in every multiple places throughout the practice. I have a clinic binder, front desk, back of the house, like billing, insurance verification, things like that. And then all things optical, and and you can have your staff help you make these procedures if you don't have them, but having the procedures and policies there so that everybody's on the same page. It gives you consistent, thoughtful procedures that are documented and followed by all. But we were talking about this yesterday, how important it is to keep you agile. Like if you need Stacy from the front desk to go fix someone's glasses or order a part or something in the optical, they can open that manual and see exactly how you do that at your practice. It's another form of taking control.
Exactly. The other thing that we talked about too is that if you are somebody who thinks you want to sell your practice in the future, getting this is really, really important for resale. So that's critical. The other thing is that when we first did it, we did it into Google Drive, and then we printed them. But I like it living in Google Drive because then it's kind of, it can change and it can update. And then the other thing that I really like is there's a screen share program called Loom, Loom. You can record up to 5 minutes for free, but then the paid account, I think it's like $10 a month, but you can actually then do Loom videos. Every time you train a new employee, you can use this. And then what starts to happen is that you don't have to do quite as much for onboarding, and you can put like the links. I'm going to put that in the chat for you guys too. It's Loom. Just so you know that makes things a little easier too.
It's a little more sophisticated
than we had.
So anything is, I always say done is better than perfect. So just get started. But there are ways to really make it cool and very useful in your practice.
Exactly.
Just think about if you had someone asking a question, you probably already answered that question 14 times, but if you have a video and just go watch that, then that really can help you in the practice. And circle back around is how important it is for your staff. Brene Brown, one of our favorite authors for sure, it says clear is kind and unclear is unkind. And it's so many times I see in practices where we expect something out of our staff that we didn't explain to them. We didn't tell them the expectations. And so you get so much more out of them when you've done your part to really make sure they understand exactly what Dr. Hart or, Brian want from them in the situations. And so, speaking about staff brings us right up to part 3, which is, your staff. as your biggest asset for growth. Sometimes I swear they feel like they're your biggest barrier to just happiness on a daily basis. However, they really have the power to make or break you. And I've said that many times to my small business mentees, like your staff, well, and for optometrists, a good staff can kind of cover for a mediocre doctor, but a bad staff can really hurt a great doctor. And when you're in the clinic, you don't always know what's going on out there. So these systems help get everybody on the same page and help you be aware of what your staff is doing and how we can make it better. So this is action item number 3. I typed up the 3 C's staff assessment, and I'm going to get a little nerdy as I start to explain that. So
This is good.
this is the
good.
balance side of me and Marnie.
I'm a little nerdy too.
Yeah, this is a little theory.
All right, let's just do a check-in really quick. How is everybody feeling? Are you guys with us? Are you ready to hear about staffing? Give me a little emoji or a little thumbs up, something in the chat. I just went ahead and I put the specific link in there for the 3 C's staff assessment. So just making sure. Okay, Keely says she is ready.
Nice.
Shaka's ready. Takia is ready. Allison, she gave us a unicorn. We love that. Thank
That's
you.
what my daughter would do.
Yeah, totally. Joy said she's ready. Brandon, are you still there? Are you still with us? Just making sure, bud. Yeah, we got this. All right, let's keep going.
Okay, so 2 pieces in this is going to be assessing the current staff that you have and then making a plan to improve any of the deficiencies that we might find. But like a little bit of theory. So Dave Ulrich is a HR guru. He's been doing this for like 30 years, but he is a professor at University of Michigan School of Business. But his little theory on the stages of employee connection to your organization kind of sum up a lot of this work that we've done.
They really do.
And so this is the trifecta that we use to evaluate talent. And so competence is the first C. Is the person able to do the work? Do they have the skills, knowledge available to them to do the work? Commitment is their willingness to do the work. And contribution is defined as them finding meaning in doing the work. And then all of that equals your productivity. And so I'm going to go through each one. So if you find, when you go through the assessment, you're going to write down every person on your payroll and then evaluate them for these 3 things. If you find someone, maybe you don't feel like they're perfectly competent for this work, what do we do? So for me, it's provide on the clock training, lectures, webinars, lunches, lunch and learns. And I put a note, I leaned very heavily on representatives to do this.
Huge. Huge.
I made a calendar where they sent it out to all of them and they had to sign up to do a lunch and learn. And I don't remember what my expectations were for them. I think it was maybe once a quarter. I expect if you want to come into our office, you got to come and train them and bring lunch. And they were clamoring for it. I would have them signing up, not chasing them down. They were chasing us down to get on our calendar.
And that was a big shift because when we first started, reps they would just come. And you remember it used to drive you guys crazy because it would really mess with the workflow. So when you
take control,
right, you took control very proactively and you managed that and you used it to your advantage.
It's a huge advantage to increasing your staff's skills and abilities.
Yep.
And so, but it takes time and it takes some money actually, because you have to schedule some time without patients to get this done. And it costs, but
it's an investment.
The ROI is definitely worth the time.
Difference between investment and expense, folks. Really important.
It's a
mindset shift.
And so that's competence. For commitment, the best way I found, and there's probably lots of ways, but to increase staff's commitment to wanting to do the work is to increase their connection with the practice's shared values and to make them feel appreciated. So it's a 2-pronged thing for me. It's how they fit in with your values, the core values of the practice, and then making them know that you love them and appreciate them. And it trickles down, folks. So the core values that we set up, and we had them all along, but like actually committing to them, putting them on paper, these are our 4, and this image was the background of every computer in Carolina Family Vision. And we talked about them at least quarterly, if not more. And we lived by them, and we celebrated when they lived by them. And these are things that we really spent a lot of energy disseminating into the staff, and it really became who we were. But so ours were family, quality care and products, compassionate service, and excellence.
So pause real quick. If you have not written down your core values, you get together with your leadership team. So that would be maybe another associate. If you have one, be your office manager. Oftentimes they're like, we know our core values, and they're in your head. You have to do the work of writing them down, and then you make all of your decisions, and you train your team to make decisions based upon these things. And then the magic really starts to happen.
So simple, but it's powerful.
It's so
simple. A lot of places overlook it. A lot of people overlook it, but I'm going to show you. Here's the proof in the pudding. I just grabbed these reviews a few months ago, and they were all current at the time. And so I just highlighted what patients actually say about our practice. This one said that our practice make them feel like a special patient. Every person I dealt with is the epitome of respect, kindness, and personal service. I was treated like a friend. Everyone who works was kind, friendly, and patient with my family. They felt genuinely taken care of. The family, because that's our big one, is family. We're all family. We treat patients like family. The family atmosphere makes me smile every time I go there. And then I love this one. This one actually makes me tear up some, because the person said they just really felt at home. And then I didn't tell her to do this. This was our office manager's response, was that you're part of the family now. And so it's real. Like it seems so simple. And honestly, in my old mindset, I could have been just like, this, whatever. There's no way that's going to make a big difference, but it's critical. And I attribute a lot of our success to really making this a priority in our practice.
Absolutely.
And then part 2 of that is appreciating them and celebrating the wins. There's birthdays, there's anniversaries. That was her 7th year with us, and doing fun stuff together. We tried to do that at least twice a year, maybe even quarterly, something small. We did some big things, and we hit when we did the 2 million, we took them to Mexico for a vacation. And you don't have to go all that far, but just this was an escape room. Take them out to lunch, like just doing things together outside of the office for us to make them feel appreciated. And then the last C, we're going to wrap it up here, is contribution. And that's just defined as finding meaning in the work. And for me, the best way to do that was to give them metrics so that they understood exactly their role. Like gives them a direct, measurable view for their impacts on the practice's goals. And how we did that, it's individual. Like employee A is not going to track the same thing employee B does. How do they contribute directly to your goals? And you have to have those goals written down and in place to figure this stuff out. But in the end, you want 3 to 5. So I had some employees only had one thing that they had to measure, but it actually mattered every day what that one metric, how it applied to our practice.
Can you give them the example of your
it
such
was
a good example.
So we had an executive assistant. She was kind of our cross-trained, could go anywhere, but she helped us behind the front desk kind of. And her metric, when we got down to it, what's the one thing that helps us meet our goals, which was a certain gross number. And one of her jobs was backfilling. If we got there in the morning and the people had canceled, how many of those appointments could she fill? And she had to measure how many we called them pink appointments. How many were no-show / not coming in that day, versus how many did she get on the phone and call Mrs. Jones who had that same appointment next week and say, hey, do you want to come in today? Or anybody on a wait list. And so it really obviously impacts the bottom line, but also gave her purpose. And she's just not just trying to keep us busy. Like she made that connection of, wow, this is how I can help out the practice. And then it increased and got better. which is magic. How when you track things, that's how we make them better, right?
That's how the magic happens.
Yep. Oh, also, so they need to be easy for them to measure or collect and to give to you. Ask for feedback from them. Is this making sense to you? Is this easy? And don't be afraid to change them, because I had to change ours many times.
Many times.
And that, folks, brings us to Q&A.
Oh, all right.
lot.
You did great. Yeah.
You too.
Well, thanks. Well, the real metric of whether we did great is what they think. Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
what questions do you all have or feedback? Feel free to pop it in the chat. I know y'all know how to use the chat, so that's a good thing. So what questions can we answer for you at this point? I'm just going to give that a minute if you have any questions that we can answer. Wow. Did we stump them?
They might be like, oh,
yeah,
so much.
I know. Well, that would make sense. So if we stumped you, I get it. If you're overwhelmed a little bit, I hope not. But okay. Do you give staff a real number you're trying to reach?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
And I held that close to the vest at first, so I understand where that question's coming from. A lot of optometrists do not want the staff, or don't feel comfortable with the staff knowing the actual numbers. But for me, just ripping that Band-Aid off and transparency, yep, this is what the practice makes every year.
Yep.
And then you can educate them to what it costs to run the practice. But it does not hurt for them to know where the practice wants to go. And that number, it looks really high. Like I said, you can educate on expenses too, but there's nothing wrong with them saying, oh, we want to go from an $800,000 practice to a $1 million practice. They can't help you get there if they don't know where you're going.
Exactly. That was from Shaka. Thank you,
Yes,
Shaka. Great question. Okay. Keely wants to know, do you think you would have been just as successful if you weren't a part of Vision Source?
Oh, Vision Source is a good question. I have a lot of good things to say about Vision Source. We were very lucky. We started with them from day minus probably 180. We were with them for a long time before we opened because of the economy and delays. And so every piece of equipment, everything I bought, every new rep, I had that Vision Source relationship with, so it saved us money. It kept our cost of goods down. I think I could have been successful, yes, but I don't know if we would have netted that same amount because of how good their costs of goods are.
Great. Okay. Karina says, what metrics can we assign to the techs in the clinic?
Okay, so our techs were responsible for a lot of our contact lens follow-up fittings, after the doctor walked out, coming back in and saying, okay. So we did for them, in particular, like how many year supplies went through on the patients that they saw. We also tracked like how the number of patients that they did that day, and medical versus routine, and then their contact lens, their contributions.
Trying to remember, did we also track how many of them actually brought them to optical?
No, I think that's because they would take them if the doctor said take them. That was a metric for the opticians. How many got brought to them versus how many bought.
Exactly. Okay. How do you hold staff accountable when they do not follow protocols?
Well, we have, because we're having weekly meetings, that would be brought up at a meeting, and we would talk about it and then try to see which is it that they don't get it. They need more training. Is it that they don't want to, they're not willing? And try to work on it from those angles. But the typical, you get written up if it's something, severe, I guess we try to correct it, give them opportunities, give them help, and then the write-ups, and then, the protocol that you have to follow if that's not. But if in the end it is a personality thing or it's not a good fit, then we have to usually act pretty swiftly with the protocols in place to remove them. That's what I learned a lot from this process, and getting out of a fear and fixed mindset is we said this a lot in the practice. Carolina Family Vision is bigger than any one person. So a lot of that growth came from getting rid of some people that needed to be getting rid of.
And when I came in, within the first week, there was the optical manager, and she was very toxic. And I remember you being terrified to let her go. You
Well,
guys were,
yes, it was a leadership
yeah,
fight.
you
Yes,
weren't
yes.
terrified, but you were,
But it was
it
scary.
was scary.
There's a lot. So
It was.
yes, if you can't fix it, and that's for me a gut thing, and looking at it case by case.
Yeah.
If it's not something we think is going to get better, then we start the process of finding someone that's a better fit.
And I think I'll just say this before we move on is the biggest thing that you can do, and this has been a big key learning, is moving from I understand to can you help me understand? So I'll say that again, from I understand to can you help me understand? So when someone's not following protocol, can you help me understand why? So what that does is it allows for you to not be creating your own story around what they're doing, because you might think that they're not doing it because, you know, they're not happy there and they're intentionally doing something. And you might be getting ready to build a case to fire them when maybe it's a training issue or
A resource.
We're
yeah. Not doing it like that because we're out of this. And you're like, what? Nobody told me. So
right.
Right. If you're managing by emotion and not data, and then not getting their feedback, you can tell yourself a story that sometimes isn't true.
Yeah, exactly. So what is your goal for outstanding accounts receivables? Let's just answer that one and we'll move on.
Like a percentage goal.
Why don't we, Keely, that's
I'll get back to you.
Yeah, we'll get back to you on that one, Keely. I know we'll want to answer that. Yeah.
If you want to maybe email a little bit more specific, I'll answer you.
Yeah, we'll get with you on that. So okay. So guys, how many of you feel like this right now? We just opened up our fire hose on you, right? Like I hope that you're excited about what we just talked about. So if you're excited, that's really, really good. If you're overwhelmed, I get it. It's natural. It's impossible for us to show you everything you need to get to maximize your results in a 60-minute presentation, but we really tried to give you as much as we could, and we had a lot of fun doing it. So real quick, can you guys let me know, would it be okay if I take maybe another 5 minutes of your time? I want to be really conscientious because we're right at 1 o'clock. Is it okay if I tell you guys really quick about a program that we created to help you implement the items that we went over today? If that's okay, just give me a thumbs up in the chat. I want to be respectful of your time. Oh, Allison says yes. Takia says yes. Thank you guys so much. I'm going to assume that the rest of you, okay. Yeah, you guys are saying yes. Okay, that's really cool. Thank you so much. Okay, so okay, so we have this 6-week program. It's full pocket coaching for optometry. That's the name of my company, and Dr. Christy and I are completely 50-50 partners in it and everything. And so this is how it would work. It's a 6-week program. And so we will release video content. We have 6 different tracks weekly. You would watch the video 20 minutes max. We'll have a group meeting. It's going to be very small, you guys, probably 5 to 10 people. We will meet for 1 hour per week, every Tuesday from 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern. You'll bring all of your questions. You'll be with us live. It's going to start on October 10th. All sessions will be recorded. We will also do a group chat, whether that's on like GroupMe or a Facebook group. Or WhatsApp.
For you guys.
Yeah, we're going to figure out what works for you. We'll do that in our first meeting, but we're going to actually guide you in how to communicate everything and masterfully navigate the implementation of all of this, because let's face it, it is. And that's frankly why people have hired me for the last 10 years, is to get the results like Dr. Christy got. So here's what we're going to cover. So week 1, we're going to do all of the leadership mindset work. We're going to help you reset that practice foundation. We're going to help you to really tease out all of those things that need to be really in place from your core values, your mission, your niche. Week 2, we're going to help you understand those metrics. So we call them KPIs, key performance indicators. We'll help you we developed the proprietary scorecard. We worked on that for 2 years. That alone is a gold mine that you don't have to go ahead and rethink all that. We'll talk to you more about your staffing. Week 3, we're going to talk about how you really maximize your sales and really drive that profitability. Week 4, we're going to dive deep into your operational pain points and how you make more money using, different solutions. Week 5, we'll talk to you about the operational integration training, and that is the proprietary system that where you actually learn how to do those meetings. We give you the specific agenda for it, how you roll it out, how you do your quarterly state of the companies, how you have those quarterly conversations. And week 6, we'll put it all together. So we think this is winning. The reason that we do is we'll be able to maximize the profitability of your patient's experience. It means more money in your pocket. We'll address the pain points. You'll understand how to really weave emotional intelligence into your leadership, deploying effective meetings, maximizing sales. And really what all of this means is that you guys are going to feel less stressed, and you have a place to go with people who have been there and done it very successfully. And I don't say that to boast or to brag, because we're not those kind of people, but we really are at a place where we want to give back and have fun doing it. And we're really excited. So it's pretty reasonable. I think it's only $9.95 per person. We kept it really reasonable because we wanted to make it accessible. If you sign up today, you'll actually get we're making it extra special. You'll get a one-on-one with us together. It's a complimentary 1-hour session with us. And I typically charge $300 an hour for my time. So does Dr. Christy. That's going to end Monday, tomorrow at 8 p.m. Yep. So program enrollment closes Wednesday, 9/20, if you want a little bit extra time to think about it. I wonder, sorry guys, I got to drop that. Yeah, I got to drop that link in the thing. How do I drop that link in? Let me see if I can grab that link. We're going to drop out of this for just a second. So Joyce says she feels motivated. Staff issues are a huge part. Vlada says yes. So we would love to have you guys, and I will get this link somehow. Hold on one second. Let's figure out how I can grab this link. Hang on. So anyway, while I'm going to grab that.
I'll text it.
Okay, so Dr. Christie's going to grab it. So we have time for another question or two while I'm grabbing that link. And we would really love the opportunity to work with you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to drop our email. I got it. I think I've got it.
You got it?
Yeah, I think I got it. So I'm going to copy it. Hold on one second. So I'll also drop our emails in the chat if you guys have any questions that way. Okay. So that's the link. It's just a pay link from Square. So you guys can go ahead and do that. The program kicks off on October 10th. And I'm going to put my email here. Just feel free to email me if you have questions about the program, or you have questions for Dr. Christy. I'll just kind of be that filter. But that is the link. And thank you guys so much for being here with us. This has been a lot of fun. Yeah, I had fun. Did you have fun? You did so great. Yay. So thanks for being here. Guys. We appreciate you. How many max will be in the group? Allison, that's a great question. 10.
We're thinking 10.
Yeah, we're going to limit it to 10 at the most. I have a feeling it'll probably be 5 to 10 people. So
you'll get a lot from us on the chat. I think we'll really get to know
you and your
practice and really be able to help you out.
Exactly. Yeah, we're happy to answer any other questions. I know that we're a little over on time, but we can answer any other questions that y'all might have. So feel free to pop any more questions, or feel free to take yourself off of mute and we can chat with you directly if that's something that you would prefer also. So we'll make ourselves full screen here. Now we can kind of see everybody live. By the way, we're here at Dr. Christie's house. I don't know if you guys noticed this amazing backdrop here of all the cool stuff. So it's pretty neat.
Collected over time.
Yeah, collected over time. So anyway, we are excited to launch this program. We'd love to have you join us. Like I said, if you have questions or concerns or whatever, feel free to let us know.
And thank you for spending Sunday with us, a little bit of your time today.
We're so happy we were able to do this. So, okay, we're going to go ahead and we'll say goodbye.
Say goodbye.
All right,
folks.
Thanks again. Happy Sunday.
Yeah.
Hold on. Shaka has a question. Will there be material available to help us develop office policies?
Yeah, we'll go over process documentation during that time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then answer individual questions.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Great question, Chaka.
Mhm.
Yep. If you have any more questions, guys, feel free. I'm going to go ahead and we will send out a group email also. I hope everybody was getting those emails. I sent them out through Eventbrite. But I'll send a follow-up email directly from my actual email account, and then we'll send everything out to you guys afterwards. So I really hope you guys will join us. It's going to be a big party and we're going to have a lot of fun.
Always.
And you know, it's always a party.
Work hard, play hard.
Oh yeah, work hard, play hard. That's exactly it. Okay,
All
awesome.
right, guys.
Thanks, guys.